There are 5 players that are skyrocketing up draft boards that we need to talk about on today's edition of The Audible. It's Cecil Lammy, Sigmund Bloom, and it's Anthony Richardson. Now, Bloom, when you were putting together this list and you told me Anthony Richardson was going to be on it, I was like, wait a second, what? I know he's going to start. I know he's a QB1 if he's healthy. Are we talking about skyrocketing up for just like, it's one of those fireworks moments? It's like, hey, he's going to skyrocket. You're going to draft him. You're going to get a great value and you're going to start him for a month, maybe?
Maybe a bottle rocketing up the rankings.
I
don't
like
know.
it. I like
Yeah.
it. That's better. Yes.
Yeah, not a Roman candle. But might blow up in your hand. Oh geez. Sorry, Jason Pierre Paul. Sorry, Najee Harris. Well, how did we end up here already?
I know.
Look, Anthony Richardson was left for dead in fantasy when we heard his shoulder was hurting in the spring, and Daniel Jones, et cetera, et cetera. However, in camp, well, they were reminded that Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, and Anthony Richardson's actually looking better, wider base and short and intermediate passing. And as we've learned with Justin Fields, hey, if you can run, you don't have to be a good passer to have fantasy value. So this is what the late rounds are for. Once you get past the 10th, 11th round of your draft, you're just looking at upside. And we know that Anthony Richardson has weekly upside. High likelihood he's going to start, by the way, against a Miami secondary in week 1 that has now lost all 5 of its starters from last year. So a brand new starting secondary for Miami, Anthony Richardson. If you want the Anthony Richardson revival narrative, that's a good way to get it started. Okay. So if you'd like to do JJ Zach Reason, what's up, my fellow Yinzer, late round quarterback, you start Anthony Richardson week 1. There's a lot of quarterbacks available around quarterback 20, guys like CJ Stroud, Geno Smith. There are quarterbacks you can get really late in your draft. So if you want to take the tank to E at quarterback, and you say, I'm going to start Anthony Richardson week 1, and we'll see what happens from there. I like that. And this is a guy, Anthony Richardson, that, I just did Pros versus Joes, streamed it live on the YouTube channel. Football Guys, subscribe, like, comment, share. I got him in the 15th round in a best ball league, which is like best ball takes all risk out of the equation. Now he's going to continue to move up as it leaches into the hive mind that he's the starter. But yeah, bottle rocketing up the ranking, moving up the rankings. It might be one of those old elevators. It goes creak, creak, creak as it goes up, but it's going up.
Old elevator or a dumb waiter, right? That's what it is. You got him in the 15th in best ball?
Yeah.
Whoa.
See?
Okay, yeah. Maybe I do want to go up to Wyoming and get some bottle rockets called Anthony Richardson, or this time go to Indianapolis. Are fireworks legal in Indiana? Indiana?
Maybe near the border. I don't know.
I have no idea. The show is already off the rails. That's what Anthony Richardson does to your fantasy team. Elijah Arroyo, though, this cat. And by the way, as we're recording this morning, it looks like Noah Fant signing with Cincinnati. But Arroyo, so good from the jump. Now, in seeing this kid on the All-Star road trip and, looking at him, I always said, he's not Jimmy Graham. He's not Jimmy Graham. But my God, with the movement that he's had and the buzz that's been out there about Arroyo, he just might be Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, really raw. Not a lot of production in Miami, but like you said, all the movement, athleticism that you want in a receiving tight end. And Seattle takes him in the second round. Like, he could be our X receiver. Okay. Now, granted, when a team is really high on a player, especially a rookie, we have to take that into account because the most important thing is opportunity. Even if we think, this applies, speaking of the Colts, to Tyler Warren also, a team just has hearts in their eyes for a player, then we say, okay, well, maybe they're going to really force this to make them look smart or look their take is right. But in this case, the sign of Noah Fant being released probably was a sign they're like, we think he might be ready. And now you're seeing every day in camp observers. Now it's not just the team. And the other thing is, now granted, I'm not that high on this offense with offensive line, hopefully coming around. Sam Darnold, we'll see. But you got Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm not that high on Cooper Kupp. Not that high on Marquez Valdez-Scantling. This is a team that who's going to emerge as the second option. It might be Elijah Arroyo right away. And we've seen the trend now, really starting with Sam Laporta, that we can't just write off rookie tight end. It used to be maybe 5 years ago, a commandment was rookie tight ends just can't hit for fantasy football. And now it's like, well, geez, more than one can. 2, 3. They don't even have to be the first tight end off of the board. So Elijah Arroyo is a player that if you were saying he's going to break out right away, everything we've been hearing matches that narrative.
Now, I've monitored your social networking, Sigmund, on Twitter X
Ooh,
or whatever we're gonna call it today. You always put out like highlights from people's articles about training camp, and you'll put in a nice
yeah.
little clip and a link to their articles. So great cliff notes of when you're just browsing, like, oh, they said that. We've gone back and forth, or at least the news cycle, we collectively, us, the all have gone back and forth on Tank Bigsby. Now it's been a lot of good about Bigsby. I guess the back and forth has been on ETN, really? When we look at the reports coming out of Jacksonville of like Bigsby's taking over, and then it's like, well, ETN gets a lot of work. I believe one of your last tweets was about like Hunter and well, ETN was doing some things. So I'm like, huh, okay, well, Bigsby definitely skyrocketing. Maybe ETN kind of hanging on a little bit.
Yeah, these guys, look, if you want to just filter out the confirmation bias. And by the way, we went on another tangent. Feeling feisty this morning, Cease.
I
Um,
like it.
confirmation bias isn't wrong. If you were right to begin with, then confirmation bias is a good thing to follow, right? But what we can say, just filtering out all the context and just what are we seeing? Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne are kind of co-lead running backs, or they're getting roughly the same opportunity in camp with the ones, not Bashal Tootin. Okay, so that's the first headline takeaway, where ADP had ETN ahead of Bigsby, pretty well ahead of Bigsby. Look, Bigsby was a player going into camp, probably in the 15th round or later of your draft. He's moving up with each mention. But the other thing we have to look at here, Cease, is, we're always projecting like skate to where the puck's going to be. There's hockey talk, Nathan McKinnon. Skate to where the puck's going to be, not to where it is right now. And if we're saying that going into the season, ETN and Bigsby are going to have roughly the same opportunity, who do we like to separate? Who's going to actually impress the new coaching staff? Who looked better as a runner between the tackles? ETN's going to add value maybe on jet sweeps, screens, some touches in space. That's good. It means that they really have scouted ETN and say, well, if we're paying him $6 million, this is what we got. But the other thing is, we heard these rumors that the team was not really that high on ETN. Liam Cohen dismisses them right away. But how many times have we seen rumors and then they're dismissed, and then months later, surprise, would it shock anybody if ETN is traded before camp at final cutdowns? Who could have seen that coming? Everybody could have seen that coming, right? So yeah, I think Tank Bigsby is a guy that if this stays the same, maybe Jacksonville's one of those backfields where you don't really want anybody, right? Like you can't really count on anybody week to week. It's more like buy injury emergency stuff. But there was going to be a back in this backfield that we do count on at some point this year. It's going to be Tank Bigsby.
I gotta get you fired up before every show.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Spicy Bloom today. Spicy Bloom. Yeah, sizzle.
Yeah.
Sizzle down in Tampa. Now skyrocketing, but since we got the news about Chris Godwin, and my God, and I apologize, it's training camp, so every day is running together. But like the Godwin news is what, a couple of weeks old? Really? So the skyrock for Emeka Egbuka, like it's already, I mean, skyrockets in flight. Yeah, your afternoon delight. You're already smoking your second heater.
Yeah.
Like it's been a while since we got the Godwin news. Is it
Yeah.
just more cement that Egbuka now
Yeah.
continues to ascend and skyrocket up rankings and draft boards?
Yeah. It's just that drum beat. Cease. The drum beat just gets louder and louder and louder that this guy's going to be a big part of the offense right away. Again, I think we can put in what's in between pen and pencil. I don't know. I don't think Godwin's going to start the season on the field. I think he's probably going to start the season on the PUP list. Egbuka's going to slide right into that role. By the way, Godwin in that role was wide receiver 2 overall in PPR leagues when he got hurt.
Whew.
So Egbuka can be like wide receiver 15 or 20. He's still not being drafted anywhere near that. Okay. I mean, at some point, Cease, I think you're going to see Egbuka knocking on the door of Hunter and Tedero McMillan as the first rookie wide receiver off the board in redraft leagues, because a very smart person told me that windows are what rules in fantasy football. And if we're looking at a 4-week window and Chris Godwin is on PUP to start the season, then Emeka Egbuka, again, we're projecting him in like the 3rd round range. Okay. So he's moving up, but he hasn't moved up enough. The other thing that people need to know, and I got to give a big tip of the cap to Scott Barrett. I just did a show with Scott Barrett and Theo Greminger, two of my favorite people. My list of favorite people in fantasy football just gets longer every year, which is a good
That's
thing.
a good thing.
It's a really good thing. So I was on a show with him earlier this week, School of Scott. And Scott pointed out that like in a week or so ago, a reporter was talking to Mike Evans and said, you got a few years left. And Mike Evans said, what? Wait. Okay. Scott noticed that. And then just this morning, Rick Stroud, who's one of those venerable, like Rick Stroud has been covering the Bucs for a long time.
Yeah.
And he published an article this morning, something to the effect of watch Mike Evans because this might be the last year you get to watch him or something like that, So now we were talking about this on Scott's show on Tuesday, and now on Thursday, this is mainstream. Okay. So if this is Mike Evans' last year, I'm not saying Mike Evans is going to start going through the motions or anything like that, but you just see all these things pointing to Emeka Egbuka as a signature player in this offense right away, and he's still not priced anywhere near that. So he's moving up, but he's not moving up enough.
Yeah, moving up, but not moving up where he needs to be. So we'll continue to monitor that. It is the Audible, 20 years of the Audible. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell here on YouTube. And we've got one more plus a bonus player to talk about.
Yeah.
It's Braelon Allen here. And let's discuss what's going on with Braelon Allen. And well, hey, the Jets, I guess they're kind of wiping their brow that Justin Fields is going to be okay for the start of the regular season.
Yeah. And Braelon Allen in the drum beat, where I think it was Zach Rosenblatt now saying we're looking like 1A, 1B. So you go all the way back to Aaron Glenn saying we got 3 running backs, we're going to use them. But maybe it's 2 that we need to be concerned about with Breece Hall and Braelon Allen. Now he does have some knee soreness, etc. Let's watch that. But everybody again impressed with Braelon Allen. And look, he is the kind of player that should shine in practice. Braelon Allen had a 1st round running back measurables profile, but at the end of his career in Wisconsin, he wasn't really playing up to that. Last year, at times, he was. And now this year, under a new coaching staff, he is in practice. Okay. I think you're going to see them come out of the gate with closer to a 1A, 1B, but the ADP doesn't reflect that at all. Braelon Allen isn't even being drafted with the backup running backs, really. I mean, he's not even at the top of the backup running backs where, somebody like Zach Charbonnet, who we know is pretty good, are saying, hey, Kenneth Walker might miss some time. He's nowhere near Zach Charbonnet, and he probably has that value to begin with Breece Hall in terms of injury upside, but he might have more value than that. Remember, the Jets are a team that wants to lead the league in running back. They want to lead the league in rush attempts this year. That's how do you know if the Jets offense was a success this year or the Jets were a success? How high they are on rush attempts. With the defense they have, et cetera, Aaron Glenn getting these guys fired up. So I think Braelon Allen is not just a backup. He's a backup that could be a committee back. And also, who's going to be with this team next year? Breece Allen or Braelon Hall? Breece Allen. What did I just do? See, there's the Freudian. There you guys. When you get spicy Bloom, you also get the short-circuiting Bloom. No disassemble Bloom. Breece Hall is not going to be with the team next year, I don't think.
No.
So these things all play into. Braelon Allen should be at the top of the backup running back tier. He's nowhere close. He's moving up, but this is instead of players skyrocketing, it's like players that should be skyrocketing. They're moving up, but they're not necessarily moving up enough.
You better draft Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, or I will. When we do Festival OG, and I usually like to be cute and take some running back with the very last pick. One year it was Phillip Lindsay. I can't remember who it was last year. It was going to be Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, full disclosure, and you're probably going to be drafting with me, Bloom, so I'm just exposing my plan. I'm going to take him a lot earlier than the very last pick and however many rounds we do in Festival OG because he's there with the Commanders getting first-team reps, and Austin Eckler might be a camp cut.
Well,
has been cut yet? I mean, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is there, and he can do everything. You know,
Yeah, we
Brian Robinson's still there, but like when Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, it's already got the drum beat. But when he's getting first team reps, I take note. That's our little bonus player because I love Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara.
Yeah, well, see, we can call this the rookie running back watch because I mean I think you can make a case that he should be moving up Taj Brooks with Zach Moss. I mean, guess retiring. I wish him the
What,
best.
Jaden
Man.
Blue?
Jaden Blue now redeeming himself. Brashard Smith is getting snaps in the Jerick McKinnon role. Okay, Dylan Sampson, Quinshon Judkins. If you haven't heard, folks, Jimmy Haslam was like, I'm cautiously optimistic he's going to play for us this year, you know. So Dylan Sampson, Jerome Ford's been banged up in camp. So, you know, we loved this rookie running back class. A lot of them fell to the third day. And who are we talking about? Who are we excited about, Cease? Third day rookie running backs.
Yep. Third day rookie running backs. Just put a pin in that. And when we come back, I believe next week with players we can't stop talking about, guess who I'm going to start talking about? Spoiler alert. All right. It is the Audible. Again, thanks for helping us out on YouTube. We've got multiple YouTube channels with football guys, so subscribe to them all. And if you want to support the show, we don't do any silly super chats. Instead, we just ask you to check out Football Guys for a free daily newsletter. It's awesome. Bob Harris, Sigmund Bloom, Joe Bryant, Dave Kluge, Cecil Lammy, third person, all writing the news for you every day, hot and fresh to your inbox. You have a life. We don't. Let us handle it. Football Guys free daily newsletter. And if you like that, you want to help the show, subscribe to footballguys.com. If you want to tip the show, you want to show your support for the Audible, 20 years of the Audible, 20 years plus of both of us working for footballguys.com. So
and not stopping talking.
Players. That's the show I wanted to do today. Players we can't stop talking about because we can't stop talking. He's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on all the socials at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammy. The show is at The Audible saying thanks for watching. Watch these other videos that may or may not pop up. Stay tuned, and would you please, as always, stay frosty.